We have just received the first batch of images from Artemis 2's historic flyby of the moon, and what we've seen already is absolutely breathtaking. In this video, I want to show you pretty much all of them, discuss what we can see, and hopefully generally nerd out together about how gorgeous the moon is and how awesome this mission is. I will break the images down into categories, so you can skip through the video if you want, using the chapters that I'll add on the timeline. Or even feel free to mute me and just enjoy the pictures for their own natural beauty. The first few shots show the Orion module approaching the moon. These were taken as they prepared for their record-breaking flyby, which took them around the moon, reaching about 4,000 miles above the surface, and breaking the record for the furthest from Earth humans have ever been. A record which was previously set in 1968 with the Apollo 8 mission. I particularly like this one, where the Earth is visible too, tiny in the background and hiding behind a waxing crescent moon. 3 worlds in one image. This next batch of images might be my favourite, because they show a total solar eclipse as seen from lunar orbit. This is the moon completely blocking out the sun from the point of view of our astronauts. This one here is probably the headline image in that vein. We see the full moon blocking out the sun. The extra special thing here is that faint glow on the left-hand side of the moon, almost making it a crescent. That's Earthshine, sunlight reflecting off the Earth and illuminating part of the moon. So we can deduce that the Earth is indeed to the sort of upper left of this picture, but it's not in frame at all. It's also worth noting that since the moon appears so large to the crew here, that the total eclipse lasted around 54 minutes, which is much longer than the few minutes we get here on Earth for a total solar eclipse. We also get treated to a lineup of planets being visible in the background, with Saturn, Mars, and Mercury visible to the lower right of the moon. If Neptune were brighter, it would be visible too, as it sat between Saturn and Mars here, but sadly, it's too distant and too dim, and we can't see it in this image. There are stars visible behind the moon too, possible because the moon is quite dim due to the eclipse, so a long enough exposure was used to let starlight in as well. If you look carefully, there are bright spots on the dark part of the moon itself too. These aren't stars, but rather they are dead pixels from the camera, probably caused by the intense radiation that the crew, Orion, and all of the equipment is being bombarded with as they are outside of our protective atmosphere. Here, we get to see the sun begin to poke out from behind the moon at the end of the lunar flyby, giving our astronauts some light after almost an hour of darkness, and looking carefully, reveals an uneven edge to the moon, showing us that the lunar topography is quite dramatic in a way that we don't usually see. This is another dramatic shot showing the moon during the eclipse and lit up by Earthshine, and some of the darker features are actually visible in that glow too, including an area called Mare Crisium, which is visible from Earth too. This bright dot to the left is another planet, this time Venus. There are also a few photos already out that show the Orion module in frame with the eclipse too, and these are just as cool as the pure eclipse photos, and they reinforce that there's a human behind the lens for all of these photos. Let's now take a quick moment to show off the astronauts behind these images, as we've just been reminded of them, and we also got these photos of them looking happy during the observations. Here they are demonstrating safety during the beginning of the eclipse, as you need to wear protective eclipse glasses even in space. Here are Victor Glover and Christina Koch taking images and observations. Jeremy Hansen using a camera during the approximate 7-hour observation window of the flyby. Victor Glover showing off some photos or something cool he's seen out the window. And Reed Wiseman here is peeping out of the window just as lunar observations begin. This one also shows a shroud they put on one of the windows to reduce any reflections in the camera and keep the Orion module nice and dark during the observations. And I'm pretty sure that's Jeremy Hansen using the camera. Now, let's get up close and personal with the moon and look at the photos that show our lunar neighbor in incredible detail during the flyby. First up, this close view focuses on the Oriental Basin, one of the moon's youngest and best preserved impact craters. We can see the concentric rings of the crater, as well as countless other craters across the moon. This photo is special for another reason though, because of a particular pair of craters that we can see in it. The crew of Artemis 2 shared an emotional message just before the flyby to suggest naming 2 currently unnamed craters. One after their Orion module, which they've named Integrity, and one after Reed's late wife Carol, but I'll let you hear it from them.
There's a feature in a really neat place on the moon, and it is on the near side, far side boundary. In fact, it's just on the near side of that boundary, and so at certain times of the moon's transit around Earth, we will be able to see this from Earth. And so we lost a loved one. Her name was Carol, the spouse of Reed, the mother of Katie and Ellie. And if you want to find this one, you look at Glushko, and it's just to the northwest of that, at the same latitude as Ohm, and it's a bright spot on the moon. And we would like to call it Carol, and you spell that Carroll.
Integrity and Carroll Crater, loud and clear. Thank you.
There are several other shots that show off the distinctive Oriental Basin too, and also give us up-close views of craters with rays coming out of them, dark mare regions across the moon, and a sense of the dramatic topography of the moon, thanks to the playful interactions between the light and shadow in the images. The bright dot in the midst of the dark lava flow region at the top of this image is called the Aristarchus crater, and the round black spot northeast of Oriental is called the Grimaldi crater. Here, we again see Oriental in the center, and the bright white crater with the rays to the left of Oriental is called Burgius, which was also visible in the previous image. Here is an up-close shot that focuses on the Vavilov crater, while the right-hand side of the image shows a transition from rugged mountains to the smoother lands of the moon. Vavilov and the other craters look particularly dramatic here, thanks to the shadows, as they were on the terminator line between day and night on the moon when this photo was taken. Similar dramatic photos here show more craters, rugged terrain, and a jet black sky behind the moon, while this image zooms in on the South Pole Aitken Basin, which is the largest and oldest basin on the moon. Let's end this batch of photos with a couple that again show the complete moon, and you can spend some time picking out many of the same features that we've already been discussing in this video, if you fancy the challenge. This next set of images shows the moon and Earth together, in a playful yet dramatic series of photos. This one is called Earthset, a muted blue Earth with bright white clouds set behind the cratered lunar surface. The dark portion of Earth is experiencing nighttime, and on day's Earth side, swirling clouds are visible over the Australia and Oceania region. In the foreground, Ohm crater has terraced edges and a flat floor interrupted by central peaks. These peaks form in complex craters when the lunar surface, liquefied on impact when meteorites hit the moon, splashes upwards during the crater's formation. Images like this will also always draw comparison to old iconic photos like Apollo 8's Earthrise, or photos like this from Apollo 17. We got a few similar photos of the Earth setting behind the limb of the moon. This one particularly shows off some perfectly round craters. Similar round craters, including the Ohm crater, are visible here as the Earth really begins to set, and this image was taken just 3 minutes before the crew passed behind the moon and lost contact with the Earth for 40 whole minutes. This was a planned blackout, as signals can't pass straight through the moon, and the crew got to continue their observations and imaging in peace, before emerging on the other side and reconnecting with us here on Earth. As the blackout ended, this Artemis II Earthrise greeted the crew as they emerged from behind the moon, with the moon's dramatic landscape silhouetted in front of the glowing crescent Earth. This one shows the Earth slightly further away, again with swirling clouds visible over Australia and the Oceania region. The crescent Earth is even more distant here, and on the moon part of the image, we can again see the Integrity and Carroll craters, so shout me in the comments if you can spot them here. We can end this batch of images with a large, looming moon, Earth perched behind it, and many familiar landmarks visible on this imposing, enormous moon. I also love this series of photos, which show 3 of the crew looking out of the window back at Earth. We have Christina, Victor, and Jeremy, all in the same pose. But Commander Reed Wiseman, he's looking straight at the moon in his one. There were also a couple of sneak peeks we got to see of the photos on the iPhones and tablets the crew have on board. Of course, these don't look as good as the high-res images that we've been looking at, but there's still something fun about seeing the photos like this. In my last video, I was able to show you some of the pictures that the crew took when they turned around and looked back at Earth. I still think these are incredible. They range from this entire globe, A picture that was actually taken at night and has been named Hello World, to shots where the Terminator, the divide between night and day, is strikingly obvious. And even beautiful selfie portraits of the astronauts at one of the observation windows. Well, since then, we also got to see a handful more images of the Earth, but each one shows it as a crescent, only partially illuminated by the sun. I love these because it's a perspective we don't usually get. In fact, it's how we often view the moon. But here, on this mission, the roles have been reversed, and we get to enjoy a crescent Earth. Artemis 2 is now heading back home, and on board it carries a treasure trove of more images and video from the lunar flyby. It's not possible to transmit it all back on the Deep Space Network, due to limited bandwidth. And the priority is information for monitoring the health of the astronauts and the Orion module itself that they're in. These images are just the beginning, and over the next days, weeks, and maybe even months, we'll continue to see more from this incredible mission. In fact, right now, they're being released all the time, so I'll leave a link in the description so you can check out all of these images in high resolution, and also check to see if any more have been released since I made this video. They probably have. Subscribe if you'd like to explore it all together, and I'll bring you all the best imagery and video right here on the channel. Thanks. Until next time, stay safe, team. I'll see you soon. Bye!